The hidden organ scientists only discovered in 2018. What if I told you that right now, inside your body, there is an organ that doctors have been cutting through, destroying, and throwing away for over 100 years, and they had absolutely no idea it even existed? Not a tiny cell. Not a microscopic particle. An entire organ. Bigger than your liver. Spread across almost every inch of your body. And scientists only discovered it in 2018. So the question is, what else are we missing? And what exactly has this hidden organ been doing inside you this whole time? Stay with me. Because what you're about to find out is going to change the way you see your own body forever. Here's something that sounds impossible. In a world where we've mapped the human genome, sent robots to Mars, and built machines that can see individual atoms, we somehow missed an entire organ hiding inside the human body. Not hidden deep in space. Hidden in you. Right now. Surrounding your heart, your lungs, your intestines, your skin. Quietly doing something we still don't fully understand. It's called the interstitium. And before 2018, it didn't officially exist. But here's what's wild, doctors weren't ignoring it. They were looking right at it. Every single surgery. Every autopsy. Every medical textbook diagram. It was always there. They just couldn't see it. And the reason why they couldn't see it is one of the most fascinating stories in modern science. So let's go inside your body stage by stage. And let's find the organ that hid from humanity for centuries. Stage 1, the organ that was invisible. Imagine you're a scientist in the 1800s. You want to study human tissue, skin, organs, connective tissue. So you do what every scientist does. You take a sample, slice it paper thin, dry it out, stain it with dye, and slide it under a microscope. And here's where the mystery begins. The moment you dry that tissue out, something disappears. Something collapses. Something that was once a living, fluid-filled, three-dimensional network of tiny tunnels and chambers just flattens. It becomes a thin, dense, unremarkable layer that looks like nothing. Like biological wallpaper. For over 150 years, every scientist who looked at human tissue under a microscope was looking at a collapsed version of something much bigger. Like trying to understand what a sponge is by studying it after it's been squeezed completely dry and left in the sun for a week. And so, generation after generation of medical students were taught that the space between your organs was filled with something called loose connective tissue. Dense. Flat. Boring. Unimportant. But what if it wasn't flat? What if it was never supposed to be flat? Stage 2, the discovery that changed everything. It's 2015. Two doctors at New York University, a gastroenterologist named David Carlock and a pathologist named Neil Thies, are performing a routine procedure. They're using a new kind of technology called a confocal laser endomicroscope. This isn't your ordinary camera. This device can look at living tissue in real time, without removing it, without drying it, without destroying it. And what they see stops them cold. Right beneath the lining of the bile duct, a tube that carries digestive fluid from your liver, they spot something that isn't in any medical textbook. A vast, interconnected web of fluid-filled spaces. Tiny chambers and channels, held open by a strong mesh of collagen fibers, all of it moving. All of it alive. Can you picture it? Imagine a honeycomb. Now imagine that honeycomb stretched across every organ in your body, filled with a slow-moving river of fluid. That's what they were looking at. And they had no idea what it was. They didn't announce it immediately. They went quiet. They spent months, then years, studying it. Confirming it. Making sure they weren't wrong. Because if they were right, they were about to tell the entire medical world that it had missed something enormous. In 2018, they published their findings. And the world of science had to take a long, uncomfortable look at itself. Stage 3, what the interstitium actually is. So what exactly is this thing? The interstitium is a network of fluid-filled spaces that exists just beneath your skin, along the walls of your gut, around your lungs, around your arteries and veins, and through your muscles. It is everywhere. It is, quite literally, all over you. Think of it like a highway system, but instead of cars, it carries fluid. A special kind of fluid called interstitial fluid. And it moves slowly, quietly, constantly, through this web of connected chambers, all held open by thick ropes of a protein called collagen. Now here's what makes this genuinely mind-bending. The interstitium isn't just a passive pipe. It's a shock absorber. Every time you take a step, every time your heart beats, every time you breathe, every time your intestines squeeze food through your gut, the interstitium cushions the impact. It protects your organs and tissues from the physical stress of simply being alive. But wait. If it's everywhere, and it's been there since the beginning of human life, how did an organ this significant stay hidden for so long? Here's the twist. It didn't just hide from us. Our own scientific methods made it invisible. Stage 4, the bizarre truth about why we missed it. Think about how science studies the human body. You take a sample. You fix it in chemicals. You slice it. You dry it. You stain it. You flatten it onto a glass slide. That process, used in every hospital, every university, every laboratory on Earth, is called histology. And it is the gold standard of human tissue analysis. It's how doctors diagnose cancer. It's how students learn anatomy. It has saved millions of lives. But histology has one fatal flaw when it comes to the interstitium. The moment you remove living tissue from the body and start preparing it for a slide, the fluid inside the interstitial spaces drains away. The chambers collapse. The collagen fibers fall flat against each other. And what was once a living, three-dimensional network of fluid-filled tunnels becomes nothing more than a thin layer of compressed tissue that looks like nothing special. For 150 years, scientists were essentially looking at a deflated bouncy castle and calling it a floor mat. Now think about the implications of that. Think about how many tissue samples have been studied. Think about how many diagnoses have been made. Think about what else might be lurking in the human body right now, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to look at it in a new way. Are you starting to feel that chill? Good. Because we're just getting to the most important part. Stage 5, what the interstitium does to your body. So we know where it is. We know how it works structurally. But what does the interstitium actually do? And this is where science gets both exciting and terrifying at the same time. First, the fluid. The interstitium contains a staggering amount of fluid. Scientists now believe it may account for nearly 20% of all the fluid in your entire body. That is more fluid than what's in your blood vessels. More than what's in your cells. The interstitium is, in a very real sense, one of the body's largest fluid reservoirs. And that fluid is not just sitting there. It moves. It carries nutrients from your blood into your tissues. It carries waste away from your tissues and delivers it to your lymphatic system, where it gets filtered and eventually returned to your blood. The interstitium and the lymphatic system work together like a slow, silent cleaning crew operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never stopping, never resting, never asking for credit. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Because scientists began to wonder, if the interstitium is a highway for fluid moving through the body, what happens when something bad gets onto that highway? What happens when cancer gets onto that highway? The most surprising moment, cancer's secret route. This is the part that genuinely shook the medical world. When cancer spreads from one part of the body to another, a process called metastasis, it has to travel somehow. And for years, scientists knew cancer cells could travel through the blood. They knew cancer could travel through the lymphatic system. But something never quite added up. Cancer was spreading to places and in patterns that those two routes alone couldn't fully explain. And then came the interstitium. Researchers began to suspect that cancer cells, particularly in organs like the lungs, gut, skin, and bladder, might be using the interstitial network as a secret highway. Hitching a ride on the slow river of interstitial fluid. Moving through chambers and tunnels that nobody even knew existed. Quietly spreading to other parts of the body while the immune system was busy looking elsewhere. It would explain a lot. It would explain why some cancers spread so aggressively. It would explain patterns of metastasis that never made complete sense before. And if that's true, and research is still actively investigating this, then understanding the interstitium isn't just an interesting biological curiosity. It could be one of the most important keys to understanding how cancer kills. And more importantly, how to stop it. Suddenly, the organ nobody knew existed just became one of the most important organs in cancer research. So let's come back to where we started. You have an organ in your body. It's massive. It's everywhere. It cushions every heartbeat, every step, every breath you take. It carries fluid, nutrients, and waste. It connects your skin to your organs in a web that scientists are only now beginning to map. And for over a century and a half of modern medicine, it was completely invisible to us. The interstitium is a reminder of something extraordinary. That the human body, the thing you live inside every single second of every day, is still full of mysteries. That science, as brilliant and powerful as it is still a work in progress. That the answer to one of medicine's biggest questions might be hiding somewhere we haven't thought to look. In a tissue sample we dried out too fast. In a space we assumed was empty. In a place we've been walking past without seeing for our entire lives. And here's the thought I want to leave you with. If we missed an organ this big, this widespread, this important, for this long, what else is still in there, waiting? If your mind is spinning right now, good. That means you're thinking like a scientist. Drop a comment below and tell me, what do you think is still hiding inside the human body that we haven't discovered yet? I genuinely want to know what you think. If this video made you see your own body differently, hit that like button. It takes 1 second and it helps this channel reach more curious minds just like yours. And if you want to keep going deeper into the mysteries your body is hiding from you, subscribe to Body Mysteries. Because we are just getting started. I'll see you in the next one.